Whose woods these are, I think I know. His house, it's in the village though. He will not see me stopping here to watch his woods fill up with snow. In this video, we're going to talk about finding time to be creative and to appreciate beauty. So I'm Daniel Norton, photographer here in New York. I make videos like this one. This one's going to be about philosophy. I make them about gear, about technique. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, go ahead and subscribe. So this is, that's the first stanza of a poem by Robert Frost. It was written like 1923, I believe. And I had, of course, I think most people that are in the creative world have heard of Robert Frost, Two Roads, all that, you know, that's the famous one, right? But this poem I think is really important, and I came upon it in kind of an interesting way. So I was in college, and I picked up, I was a comic book collector. This is Excalibur number 52. And this comic opens with Professor Xavier. If you know anything about the X-Men, he's reading a book of poetry, and that happens to be the poem he's reading. And there's like a whole twist. I don't want to give it away, you know, no spoiler on a 30-year-old comic book, but essentially, that intrigued me. I saw those lines. It doesn't actually say, I don't think, in the comic what poem it is. I looked it up, and it really struck me. You know, it struck me that what it was talking about, at least to me, or what it said to me, because I think that's the thing with art, right? What it says to you is kind of important. What Frost was trying to say, I mean, I'm sure there's books written about all that, but what it says to me is that there's so much beauty in the world, and society and life is constantly pulling at you, and you have to make the time yourself to make it happen. The poem ends, you know, with the line, the woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep and miles to go before I sleep. And that's it, right? We always think we have something to do, so we don't have the time to do that thing that might be the beauty, might be the art, might be the thing that keeps us, really keeps us as creatives, it keeps us going. You know, it helps feed our soul, so to speak. And I think that it's easy to fall away from that. There's a few different ways you can fall away from it. It depends on where you are. So let's break it down a little bit. And you know, of course, I'll talk about me, which I always do. That's why you're here, right? If you're just doing photography for fun, you may find yourself at times where you just don't have time for it, and you may miss it, and you may find that other parts of your life are not as fulfilling and you don't really know why. There's just something that you're missing, and what it is that you're not doing the thing that you need to do. You're not taking that time to break out. And I mean, this last year, 2020, it was very difficult for a lot of people, especially if you're somebody like me that photographs people, right? I was not in a position where I could be around people. I had to really shoot a lot less. Even if you were somebody who shoots street photography, right? There's less people on the street. If you're somebody who shoots whatever, travel, you're not able to travel as much. So I think this year was a good example of how we can get pulled back from those things, and it can be very difficult to deal with. But there's less extreme situations. Sometimes it's just life in general. And I find that happening a lot. In fact, I remember some years now, when I very first got asked by Adorama to launch the professional division. This is before we were doing videos. I mean, Adorama was doing videos. Mark Wallace was, I think, maybe the only host at that point. But they had brought me in to kind of launch the thing. I'll call it Adorama Pro, right? And they brought me in there. They said, we want a professional photographer to lead this. We want to like talk to the people, you know, not be salesy and that kind of stuff, which was awesome. And Adorama's pretty awesome. If you don't shop there, shop at Adorama. Commercial over. But anyways, they brought me in for that. And I had found that there was other things going on, and I was kind of looking for something different. Maybe I'll talk about this in another video. I kind of had reached a point where I felt like I accomplished what I was trying to accomplish in photography, and I kind of was looking for something else to do. And this was a good opportunity. But as it turns out, I mean, because I had a lease and stuff, I still had my studio, and I wasn't shooting. I mean, I probably didn't shoot for, you know, I had a few clients, but I didn't shoot like for pleasure or to just shoot, which is what I did practically every day when I was just doing photography for a pretty decent amount of time. It might have even been 6 months. I mean, who knows? Time flies. And I remember that my friend Dean, well, who was like a fine art photographer, he, you know, he mostly shot stuff like lit stuff, but he was like, he knew I had a daylight studio, and he's like, I have this model coming in. Hey, you know, let's get together and hang out. You know, you haven't been shooting and you need to. This is great to have friends, right? And he's like, just come and, let me, I'll rent your studio from you. And, if you want, we can talk to her and maybe you could shoot some too or whatever. And I was like, huh. I mean, I'd kind of, right before I started the deal at RM, I had bought an RZ67. So if you guys have an RZ, and which I still have, and I'd used it maybe like once or twice. I bought it really for pleasurable stuff. I had a bunch of Polaroid film that I wanted to shoot up, and I like shooting Polaroids in the RZ. That's a whole other thing too. So anyways, we got together and we were shooting, or he was shooting, I should say, and I was helping him, and all of a sudden I started to realize like this was something I was missing. I didn't even know I was missing it, right? Because life was just taking me along, and I wasn't noticing all these little moments that I wasn't doing the thing that I wanted to do, that I love to do, because I had made everything I was doing more commercial, right? So this allows me to, I was like, okay, I threw a roll of film in my camera, and I'm just like, I don't want to like do anything too formal, but we were actually on a break, and she was on a break and she was smoking a cigarette. We were out on my balcony, and I said, hey, would you mind if I just shot a few images of you with the RZ, while we're here? And I shot a roll of film. I shot like a few pictures, and then I shot, I think, a couple just in the window light of the studio just to finish the roll. And that moment, right, taking advantage of that little moment of beauty in the middle of the day when I wasn't planning on doing it, it wasn't for money and it wasn't for anything really. I mean, she didn't even expect to necessarily get the picture. She didn't ask me for them or anything. She was being hired already by somebody else. It broke that barrier, right? Because that's sometimes what we need, right? We're like teetering on the edge and we need to do it, but then it's like, oh, I got to go out and shoot today. Oh, no, I got to do this work. I have to do this. Oh no, I got to do that. I have this personal project I want to work on, but no, I got to edit these pictures from this client. If we don't find the time to do the things that are right for us, it will be hard for us to grow. And this is why I see this a lot with what I like to call hired guns. I may have said that before, where you get these photographers that only shoot if they're getting paid. And those are the people, to me, that in the long run are the least interesting photographers. They might be technically competent, they might be able to pull things off, but they're not able to change and grow and produce and do the things that we need to grow to create a style that will continue to push us further and further along. So what's really interesting is in this comic, so he's reading the poem, and that part I told you, it shows it. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, and I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, right? And miles to go before I sleep. But then he looks back down at the book, and those words have changed, and I have earned my sleep, and I've earned my sleep. And basically, he's being manipulated to like stay in the thing, and in his case, it's kind of almost the opposite of what I'm saying, which is he wasn't done. And maybe you're not done, and you don't need to be done, right? There's stuff for you to accomplish. There's more photos for you to take. There's more people for you to meet. There's more beauty that you can bring into the world. There's more beauty you can witness. And you can document this beauty that you see. And you should do that. And find the time to do it. I can't tell you, I could do 5 ways to find more time and, get a lot of clicks, but I can't tell you how to do it. Except to say that you have to want to do it more than the world wants you not to. So this is my advice to you. Find those moments. Find that time. When you're standing there and you see the snow falling in a beautiful wood, or you're at the beach and the sun is setting, or you're driving in your car and you see the beautiful, a countryside as you go, or you're on a train and you see what is urban decay that can also have its own kind of like beauty, right? Or you're doing your job and you see little things and little light that comes places. I talk about this a lot with fall behind the screen. You see little things. I'm always taking pictures of little pieces of light. Look for those moments of beauty. That's what's going to bring you forward. That's what's going to allow you to be the photographer that you are, should be, and will be if you stick with it. So what do you guys think? Do you have certain things that you like to do? What inspires you? Are there things that have stuck with you your whole career that like inspired you early on, or do you just kind of move forward? Do you find yourself in ruts? Like what's going on with you guys? Let me know as we move into 2021. Let's kick some butt here and let's do this. If you haven't already, go ahead, subscribe and ring the bell so you get all the notifications. And I'll see you next time. Whose woods these are, I think I know. His house is in the village, though. He will not see me stopping here to watch his woods fill up with snow. My little horse must think it queer to stop without a farmhouse near, between the woods and frozen lake, the darkest evening of the year. He gives his harness bells a shake to ask if there is some mistake. The only other sound's the sweep of easy wind and downy flake. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep and miles to go before I sleep. And miles to go before I sleep.